What type of a practice do you have? How long you been in business? Where are you located?
Yeah, so we operate a physical therapy practice. We have two different locations. My wife and I started the practice about 17 years, going a little bit over 17 years now. And we're located in McAllen, Texas, and the other practice is in Westaco, Texas. So South Texas by the border, probably the most southern tip of Texas that you can get, man. Not San Antonio. That's what everybody thinks when they say South
As
Texas. Oh,
long as it's not San
you
Antonio.
from San Antonio? No, 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 not really.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Prior to getting some help, getting coaching in your practice, share with me some of the biggest challenges that you were experiencing.
We were in a growth phase, but I was still treating, so it was very hard to really grow the practice because I was stuck in treatment. We were also at a time when I think COVID had just hit, and so employment and getting PTs on board was tough. So hiring, so I was trying to get out of treatment, but couldn't find a way to hire, and was stuck in that hamster wheel of, have this growth opportunity, but didn't have enough time to really sit down and work on the growth of the company because I was working too much in the company.
Yeah, so you felt you were stuck in the day-to-day stuff of the business and you couldn't really focus on strategy and building and growth and connection.
Yeah, no, I didn't have time for that. I mean, I knew it had to be done. It was always on the back of my mind, and it's like, oh, I'll get to it after work. And then you see patients, and you get home, and then just drained, right? Not enough energy and time to really focus and put the effort that was warranted into that, into the growth of the business and into strategy and long-term vision and empowering our staff. That was another big one. I was really trying to grow our staff and help them know that they could be there for a long time and put some growth, paths in there in the business so that they could see that, okay, there's potential for me here if I stay here longer than 2 years or 3 years and whatnot. So all that stuff was stuff that I knew needed to get done, but I wasn't doing because I was working.
So what kind of effects did that have on just you personally, your team perhaps, your home life, family? Share a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely carried over to the home life. I mean, I get home and you could, feel the frustration and the fatigue and the burnout, and family wants to do this and I, say no because I had this or I just felt that there was all these things to do all the time and couldn't have the time to really just be present with the family, right? In terms of like the team, they were stuck. They weren't seeing the visionary Frank every week and, well, what are we doing next month and what are we doing next year or in the next 6 months, or because I was stuck in treatment. So my ideas of where we were going and what we needed to do weren't maybe being vocalized as much or weren't having those discussions with other team members because I wasn't available to them when they had questions either. Like in terms of, assistance or guidance or something like that, they couldn't really reach out because I was treating, right? Or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. Marriage and being a father can be difficult. It's difficult regardless, but what additional angst or pressure or issues did you have because of the stuff going on at the office because you were stuck in that day to day when you went home?
Yeah, I mean, just that lack of taking time to really, look at the vision and where we're going and all that stuff just created a lot of anxiety because now you don't know, right? You don't know, the staff doesn't know, and they're just waiting for you as a leader to tell them where we're going, right? And when you're working and not have time for that, then it's like everybody's like, well, what's going on, right? And they get this sense of, when you don't know where you're going to go and how you're going to get there, it's kind of brings on a lot of those emotions, right, for people.
Cause any riff with you and the missus?
No, I mean, well, because when I was working, I was traveling to Westaco. So yeah, I wake up, go to Westaco. She was used to me being around here and around the kids. And then when I was out there, I was just coming home maybe later in the afternoon or didn't cause any risk, but definitely threw off our routine a little bit of what we're trying to do.
What about your health, well-being? Did it have any negative effect on that?
Yeah, that was one thing that I think I remember talking to you early on was like, if I can get back into, consistent taking care of Frank, whether that's working out, eating better, just resting and getting the appropriate sleep and stuff like that. I knew if I did that, I could be better. And every time I've done that in the past, like when I've come to, different times in our life with business, exercise and getting back on the health track usually always just sets you in a better foundation to think, to grow, to strategize and all that, right? And so that was important and that was lacking early on. And then, we kind of got back on that, you know, consistent training plan and taking care of me first, in terms of health, so that way I could better serve my employees and, the community and clients.
Hard to help others when you're draining your energy down.
Yeah, I
What
really,
was the like the final straw? What was the thing that happened, or maybe a bunch of things, but can you recall what was the thing that you finally said, I need to get help. I need to get, some coaching, some guidance to help me with this. Was there something in particular?
I don't know if it was something in particular. I think we were having some like different staff issues in the clinic that I was working at. And, I remember talking to, colleagues of mine, after getting out of work and just being frustrated. Like, I was like, all right, I think I even remember saying, dude, I don't want to treat anymore. Like, I can't be treating all day. Like, I was starting to manifest that, like, I cannot be treating anymore. Like, I need to get out. Like, this is, and when I was starting to vocalize those things to friends and family about a profession that I love and that I love, I mean, I love to treat, I love to help people. But when you're starting to verbalize the fact that you don't want to do the actual day-to-day things that you were doing because you see that it's affecting everything else around you, I think that's when I was like, all right, I got to do something because this is not me. Like, I don't say that I hate therapy or that I, don't want to be treating or, that just wasn't me. So when I started hearing myself saying those things, I said, all right, I need to do something.
You started to become this person that deep inside, this is not who you are.
Right.
And it was because of all the things that were happening.
Yeah.
So you and I worked together for a few years and you did some amazing things. Well, why did you choose to work with me? Why did you choose Practice Freedom U?
Yeah, I think, we met at PPS. I think we already knew who you were and, we, on social, Facebook and groups and different things like that. And, when I went to PPS that year, I remember that was one of my goals is like, I need to talk to somebody that sees, that can help, right, in some of the issues. And I think after we had a conversation with you and your wife Colleen there at the booth and you just guys were very approachable. You were very just felt like we could hit it off and understand each other well. I think you could understand where I was at based on what your experience and what you've gone through. And I think you gave us a book, and I read that book too. And I kind of said, all right, this. He's been through it all. He's been through a lot. I think he can help me. So let's go for it and see what happens.
Yeah. So you had so many big moments, transformations, ahas, like big wins. What are some of the things that really stand out for you since our work together?
Yeah, so I think for me, I guess I could classify myself as a like hard charging, highly motivated kind of guy. And so I think after going through several sessions of talking to you and coaching, I realized that being the boss doesn't necessarily mean I have to do everything, and it was more of taking that step back and, trying to let people fail, trying to coach them up, being more curious, slowing down my actions and just kind of taking that in and reflecting on the situation and then taking action. I think that was a big aha moment for me because naturally, if I'm faced with a problem or before, there's problems, it's like, boom, let's get in there, let's do it. Because naturally, it's a gift, I guess, that we can do that. But at the same time, when you're trying to grow a practice, it can be your demise, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's huge. Just recognizing that it's always like Frank solve, go, 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 and slowing down, reflecting, being more intentional and conscientious of what you're doing and allowing your team not just to fail, but allowing your team to own something and you be the supporter, the mentor for them, which then frees you up. But you have to create that culture, create that space
Yeah.
which of course you did so well. Specifically, how has coaching, business coaching, and helping your business, how has it helped you with your time, with treatment and what you're doing, with revenue, with profit, just your mindset? Share some of those if you would.
Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, I haven't treated in over a year. So that was kind of one of the big things going in, right? And we recently lost a PT in our second location. And the goal was, how can we keep going without getting Frank back into treatment? And we're there. I did not have to go back into treatment. We figured it out. We have other staff that was, helping out in the meantime until we hire somebody else. And we got people on the bench waiting to come on. So, that's been great. Like just the fact that my team knows that I am more valuable to them when I'm not in treatment than when I'm in treatment, because their accessibility to me is, unmatched. And so that's been a huge kind of transformation for the whole team in terms of, revenue and profit and things like that. I think, we had a goal when we started after the first year to get about 600,000 more in revenue that second year. And we matched that. We did that, right? So that was good. And now we're just, in a growing phase where we're hiring, and, our staff is starting to realize, like, they're starting to problem solve better. They're starting to feel like they can come to the table with ideas more because I am listening more. I am not taking over the situation. I am, asking for feedback, taking their reflection exercises and asking them, what do you guys think? And if it's something that aligns with what we want to do, then yeah, go for it. But if it's something that's different, then I try to, get them to understand or realize, hear that or this and whatnot. So I think just me coaching them up has helped just kind of them understand, everything. And also I think it gives them the inspiration too. Like I think sometimes employees or staff, like they're looking for that, and we don't know as owners sometimes how to give them that, like the leadership, the mentorship, because we're just not coached up on it yet or haven't had enough experience doing it yet. But now it's like I see the excitement in them when we go to the leadership meetings, and they're coming to me with problems and solutions. They're like, hey, this is the problem, this is what I thought. I reached out to so and so, yada yada yada. So yes, there's still work to do in there, but I'm seeing a lot more of that as opposed to before, where it was like, get to a meeting. All right, Frank, what do we do? What do you want us to do? We're all ears, and nobody kind of contributing. And now everybody has their areas where they talk about and they report on, all hands meetings. I lead the engagement activity at the beginning, and then everybody else has their parts where they talk about their stats and what's working and what's not and what we're going to do the next month. And they're taking charge of those meetings and being the people that presents the stuff and organizes the stuff and things of that nature. So it's I'm in a good place. I like where I'm at. I feel good about where we're at, and just gonna continue to hit those things that I know helped in the last 2 years more, and see how
Yeah.
they can continue to be that as we grow.
Yeah, for sure. I know, financially, I think you're going towards or over $1 million more than when you started, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're trying to hit three this year at the end of this year. A little bit over three is the goal for this year. We're on track. We're already collected more than last year. Profit's a little different because we've been spending and doing some different things there with hiring and stuff like that. But the revenue this year compared to last year is already more. So we're
Yeah.
on the right track going into the heaviest part of the season. So we should be looking to maximize
Oh,
this
yeah,
6 months. Pretty good,
for
yeah.
sure. What has been your, I guess, biggest mindset shift? What lesson, really stands out as far as just you as the business owner, the entrepreneur, the leader of this company? What has shifted in you that really is like, wow, this, I never thought this was so important.
Yeah, I think we debrief everything now. No, that was huge. Before we weren't doing a lot of that. Now we debrief everything. Phone calls, meetings, events, we send a Google form out, we get everybody's input, we make sure we look at it and we read it in our meetings and make notes about, future stuff if needed. But debriefing is definitely something that has changed the game. But mindset wise, just knowing that, I guess, give some, like, giving not just myself some grace, but everybody some grace. Like when we mess up, there's so much stuff that happens in our business, and it's really complicated at times. And we got to understand that sometimes some of the people we have working for us don't have the education and the skill set that maybe we have, right? So going into everything with a little bit more grace and just slowing down and just letting people fail and then learning from that,
Yeah.
a little
Slowing
bit.
down, maybe be a little kinder to yourself and
Yeah,
not so hard on yourself, which allows you to be
right,
kinder to
right.
others, but not soft. But
Yeah,
I like that word grace.
firm but understanding and okay, let's fix it, kind of deal. How do we fix it? More or less than okay, I need you to do this. It's how do you fix it? What do you think should happen? How
Yeah.
do you prevent this from happening again?
So one of the things that I know just from working with you that you've done an amazing job on is your skill and understanding of how to ask questions
Yeah,
and how to go deeper into questions and not just accept the superficial initial answer or response from someone, but really go deeper and connect with them to get to the root of the issue or problem or whatever the case is.
yeah. No, that's been huge. I mean, even coaching that philosophy or idea to our leadership team to do with the staff that they're around every day. Like, our clinical director, especially, and he deals with a lot of staff questions and things like that, or maybe things that happen in the clinic and how to go about that. Right. And so, really helping him do that too. And he's kind of seeing the effects of that. And so he's kind of told me some stories too of situations and what he did and the outcomes. And it's like, that's it, dude. That's all you got to do. Like, and so it's been good to see others also see what I'm doing and how it works, and then they implement it into some of the stuff that they have to deal with every day.
So you and I have been working together 2.5, 3 years now. What has been something that surprised you about what coaching is working together?
I don't know if it surprised me, but like, I guess just when you're in it alone, there's not much movement because you don't have anybody to talk to, you don't have anybody to discuss the challenges. Maybe you do discuss the challenges with people, but those people aren't there to like, okay, well, hey, this is let's work through this or something. They just kind of hear you out. But having somebody really help you work through those challenges on a periodic basis kind of just keeps you accountable, keeps the pedal to the metal. And when you don't have that, you get stuck in this comfort zone. And when you're comfortable, you're not growing, right? So that's the whole thing there. I think you get into a state where you're comfortable and then nobody knows your challenges, nobody can help you, and you have no accountability to do any of that stuff. You're just kind of living day by day with no real action plan. You're just kind of like some people can develop a good action plan, but most people don't. They just kind of go to the office and all right, whatever happens, happens today, right? But just being more intentional with because of the coaching, you help identify the things that need to be worked on, and then you're a little bit more intentional towards those things that really move the needle in your practice, as opposed to just showing up and seeing what's going to happen that day.
Right, being more intentional, being more proactive, having space
Yeah.
to just share. There's no judgment in our conversations. You can just be you. You don't have to be
Mhm.
perfect. You don't have to show up as big boss Frank and all that. You're just sharing like some of the stuff that's going on in your mind and then talking through it and then creating a plan and helping you stay accountable even when times get tough. I would say coaching is especially when times get tough because you know, that's when you really need that support because our brains can really play some tricks on us.
Yeah, they sure can. They sure can.
So there's so many people out there that have heard of coaching that maybe even are contemplating getting help in their business. Maybe they've worked with other people in the past. It just wasn't the right fit. Someone comes up to you and says, I'm looking to get some help. I'm on the fence. What would you say about working with, Practice Freedom U and our coaches, myself included? What would you tell them?
Yeah, no, I mean, I tell them that I'd had a great experience and that the investment is worth it, because I mean, just look at what happened with my practice, right? So I can use that as proof, if you will. But I mean, but we always need somebody, like somebody, you're gonna always need a team, right? And in the executive team, when you run your business, it's just the owners, and really sometimes you can crowd yourself in your thoughts and in what you're trying to do. But when you have an outside perspective like yourself with the experience that you have and things of that nature, it opens up other avenues of strategy, thought process, perspectives, And it being and having the experience that you have, you add that with then some actual coaching and what you have to do and intention, it gets better. But without that, it's hard. It's hard to do it on yourself. You're gonna have to always have somebody in your corner to help you.
It is hard, no doubt.
Well, it's a hard period to run a practice. I mean, it's a hard period to be in business, nowadays. So, you really got to really lean on people that have done it before. And it's okay. Like, nobody does it by themselves. Everybody always leans on somebody as a mentor or, to provide insight or something. I mean, it's very hard to believe when you meet somebody and they're doing something great. You're like, oh man, how'd you think of that? They're like, oh yeah, I just thought about it all by myself. I was like, I don't know about that, man. Yeah,
So one of the biggest challenges that people have is they look at coaching like they look at a lot of things. It's transactional, it's an expense on a P&L statement, profit loss statement, and they don't see it as an investment, maybe because they don't believe in themselves, they don't believe in, the person that's helping them or what have you. How did you overcome that in making a significant investment initially? Obviously, you got a multiple, X return on that, but in the beginning, you didn't have the return yet. You had to put the investment in, then do the work, and then the return came, and then momentum came. I guess, how did you do that for yourself, and how would what advice would you give someone that, was kind of contemplating that?
yeah. So I mean, for me, I think I was like, okay, yeah, it's an investment, and we want to invest in yourself, right? That's the biggest investment you can do is invest in yourself. So first and foremost, knowing that that investment is for you and your growth, and there's nothing wrong with investing in yourself. You have to do that. That's a non-negotiable, I think, for business owners and people that are trying to grow. You have to invest in yourself. So first and foremost, know that that's what you're doing. Second, just the value. You got to see the value. Look at where you want to go and know like things like what I've gone through is proof that, it's valuable. Your program is valuable, right? So there's a lot of value that you provide in your coaching program and your online stuff, and then with the online call or with the Zoom meetings for the coaching call. So just understanding it's not an expense. That's the main thing. It's an investment in yourself. And then if you can't get through that, then okay, where's the value? And look at for the value that you're looking for. And if it lines up, and then it's the
Yeah.
right fit.
That's probably the biggest mindset shift is investing in yourself and realizing that the money you're spending is on to elevate and improve you, that then the business will give you a huge return on that.
Correct.
Excellent, man. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah.